Among the large emerging economies in the last decade, only Brazil and Mexico showed a measurable decline in income inequality, even though the region remains the world's most unequal in terms of economic distribution. Still progress was made. The great question here is how to accelerate economic growth by including more people in it. I could tell you stories about projects that my own foundation works on in Colombia and Peru, but I will just say this, that the partnership that the U.S. established with Colombia and Plan Colombia has been wildly successful. It has made the current peace talks possible. The mayor of Medellin is here. I was saying last night, when I was president, Medellin was viewed as the drug capital of the world.
Well, Mr. President, first of all, maybe you're not aware, but you've already done something about it. I think it wasn't that splashy. You mentioned Mexico and Brazil, two loved countries. But the highest country, the country of the highest growth in Latin America is Peru, from 1993 until 2011. Now we're all taking a nosedive, and the country that is the less nosediving is Peru. And what did Peru do? By your government, it funded the biggest empowerment of the poor program. We actually went, you have a zone of Lima that's called El Cono Norte. 75% of the homes are in there. 50% of are new enterprises. And that was all done with USAID money. Not only that, by using that money to also empower people in the coca fields not to rely on the terrorists for protection of their land. We've defeated terrorism way before any of our neighbors have. And the thing is, it didn't take a lot of money. It just took a lot of property in the right hands. China actually even grows more than us. And the reason China moves ahead to a great extent is because there's very committed leaders who are out there empowering people. And that's just what happens. You see, property isn't just real estate. It's about empowering people. I recently saw one of your conversations with Steve Jobs, and I'm heading towards Cairo. Steve Jobs, who was a very good friend of yours, and you had a lot of very close conversations with him, was an Arab, which is what a lot of people don't know, right? Syrian, right? Now, he's doing a lot, he did a lot better before he died than Syria's doing now. But the difference was that his father was able to finance his education because he landed 3 mortgages to fund it. And not only that, when you were talking with him 4 days before he launched his iPod, the reason he was able to collect any money on his iPod is he owned all the property rights to the iPod idea. That's what the difference is. But it comes natural maybe to North Americans and to others that you have property. You understand, in Latin America, property is a very rare privilege in terms of being solid and being able to protect yourself from expropriation. Now let's get close to Egypt. The guys in the streets, because that's where Americans would tend to focus, anybody would tend to focus, any of us who had a university education, is all these kids who can't get jobs. But the question is, who creates the jobs? The jobs are created by entrepreneurs. It's Steve Jobs who creates the jobs. It's Bill Gates, your friends, who create the jobs. It's all these guys who were no one before and who now are able to earn something. So here's a question. How did the Arab Spring start? It didn't start in Tahrir Square. It ended in Tahrir Square, and there it is. But it started because a whole bunch of 64 young entrepreneurs without education, like Bouazizi in Tunisia, lit up. And when they lit up, the first thing they said is there wasn't a call to religion, and it wasn't a call to ideology. What he said before he died, Bouazizi, was, why can't the poor buy and sell? In other words, turning back to your question of why Latin American infrastructure, what did you do, Mr. President, before there was foreign aid in the United States to grow? You gave your universities and the guys who were going to do transportation across the United States and railways, you gave them land grants. Because land grants is investment, because property is capital. So I find, Mr. President, that all we have to do is do what you started doing 150 years ago, and it'll be much better.